What was the cost of COVID-19 in 2020? In this video, I would like to show the impact that COVID-19 had around the world both mortally and financially in 2020, and use it in comparison to other tragedies that happened over the same year, and show how clear it is that there are issues with how we value human life and how we distribute wealth worldwide. In the late part of 2019, in the city of Wuhan, in the eastern province of Hubei in China, a virus emerged from a wet market within the city that would quickly spread from country to country until it eventually found its way to all corners of the globe. As the amount of deaths and confirmed cases continued to rise, on January 30th of 2020, the Director General of the World Health Organization officially declared the outbreak of COVID-19 to be a public health emergency of international concern.
A few moments later.
And the Oscar goes to Parasite.
Prince Harry has just publicly addressed the decision by him and his wife Meghan to leave their royal lives behind.
Tonight, the new report on the crash that killed Kobe Bryant.
The President of the United States and the First Lady have both tested positive for the coronavirus.
Starmy, 2 cars left.
Oh! We got a Charizard! Oh my God!
It's now early 2021, and we're not exactly off to the best start. Thankfully, with modern science, they were able to roll out several vaccines and have them tested within the last year, and are now beginning to vaccinate people in many countries around the world. But let's be honest, we're all glad to be rid of 2020, and we're all sick of this virus, with all the restrictions and isolation we've been faced with over the last year. And I think we're all ready for this to be over, so life can try and go back to normal. Also, I would just like to add that these are only a set of thought experiments based on theoretical situations, and by no means intend to downplay the seriousness of COVID-19 or offend anyone who has been affected by these tragedies. Nobody likes an angry mob.
Something I've never seen before, a phalanx of men on horseback and on camels.
So let's just start with some facts. By the end of 2020, the amount that was spent worldwide on relief for COVID-19, and of course on massive bailouts for huge corporations, had totaled around $9 trillion. Just to put that in perspective, that's enough money to buy every man, woman, and child in Canada, a country with a population of almost 38 million people, a brand new Lamborghini Huracan. With snow tires, of course. Also, it is said that money in the form of investments, derivatives, and cryptocurrencies exceeds $1.2 quadrillion worldwide. So in 1 year, we literally spent 7.5% of all the money. And that's not to say that a lot of that money wasn't put in the right place. It's just a figure I'm using in comparison to other things in this video. Now let's use some of those facts and numbers and see how they stack up against other issues. Last year, there were roughly 13 million deaths around the world from various things that can mostly be attributed to addiction and overconsumption. Things like smoking, using drugs, drinking alcohol, and obesity. Now some of these are obviously not by choice, but most of them are. We live in a society filled with many enjoyable things. These range from food that tickles our taste buds to substances that can affect us both physically and mentally. And it's not a problem that we enjoy these things. If you're a grown adult, you should have the right to indulge in any form of vice that you choose, as long as it doesn't hurt or have a negative effect on anyone else. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Globally, the world economy spends more than $2 trillion annually on essentially the medical fallout of humans being overindulgent. I mean, there are governments that are raising costs and taxes on things like cigarettes and alcohol, but it's just not enough. Maybe there should be a tax that we pay that is directly based on our amount of bad choices and overconsumption. Basically, if you like to do dumb shit, then you have to pay for it. It might make people think harder about the choices they make in life. Yeah, probably not. But I said before, most of these things are self-inflicted. So let's take a look at something that's not. Around the world in 2020, more than 9 million people, but mostly children, lost their lives due to starvation. Something so simple that most people never take it for granted. So how does something like this happen? Honestly, that's an extremely hard question with many answers and too many variables. These range from things like bad weather, overpopulation, disease outbreaks, pests, war, and falling crop prices, just to name a few. And there just isn't enough money being put into each one of these things individually, let alone enough to spread across the entire landscape of these issues. But what if there was? It is estimated that the total cost to end world hunger today would range from $7 billion to $265 billion per year. And there are 193 countries committed to doing this by 2030. So if we take the high end of that total cost, it would be $2.65 trillion. Sorry, Canada, you'll have to downgrade to a Tesla Model 3 at that rate. With snow tires, of course. But at less than 1/3 the cost of the relief spent in 2020, we could effectively end world hunger and potentially save 90 million lives within the next decade. Now obviously, there is a broad spectrum of issues, and to say that we could just throw money at them and they will disappear is just not true. But when looking at these issues with humanity as a whole, it's clear how the distribution of wealth and the value of human lives differs around the world. But who knows, maybe one day we will find the solutions to these issues and be able to move forward not as separate nations, but as a civilization. And maybe I'm optimistic, but I'd like to think that we can. Because it's either that, or we're going to blow ourselves up. And like I said before, these are just some thought experiments that I had based on some research I did. All I'm offering is a set of facts so people can form their own opinions. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like or a comment below. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, then hit that subscribe button. And if you didn't like this video, thanks for watching. I'm surprised you made it this far. And I'll see you in the next one.